Hello friends, I'm Val and I'm an artist from Canada. Today I have a desk/supplies tour for you. I'll walk you through both my polymer clay crafting and my painting supplies, and I'll show you how I organize everything. My space is pretty simple, but I hope this sparks maybe a little bit of inspiration for you, and I hope you enjoy the tour. You'll notice right away that I have two different desks, and that's because I use this white one here for sculpting, filming, and for taking photos. That's why it's by the window so it can catch that good natural light. But I don't really love it because I've had this since university and it's super wobbly. It's like the cheapest IKEA desk, but I use it because it's got a white tabletop. So I haven't really switched to a better one yet, but I'm gonna save up for a better white desk soon. And then on the left here, I have a standing desk. This was gifted to me by FlexiSpot. This is not sponsored or anything, but I just thought I'd let you know where I got it from. I've been really enjoying it though because it's super sturdy. It's like the most sturdy desk I've ever had. So I do most of my work here. I paint and I draw here, and I hang out most of the time here, and that desk is more of just like my filming desk. There's not a whole lot going on this table, but I'll just take you through really quickly. I have most of my electronics here. So this is my MacBook Pro 2020, and I use this for working and like video editing and everything. And then this here is my iPad Pro 10.5 inch. This is the 2017 version with the Apple Pencil Generation 1. And I also just like to keep everything Apple for now because of how easy it is to airdrop things in between and have all your devices synced up. This here is my Moleskine art sketchbook. You guys have seen this in my last video, so I probably won't go over this. This is my agenda/bullet journal, which I have not kept up with, but it's there for me when I need it. This is an illustration that I did a month or a few weeks ago, and I like it because it reminds me of like art and animes that I grew up watching. So it's very simplistic, but it also has elements that are very endearing. This is the most recent illustration that I did of a duck character that I made. He was inspired by this duck video that one of my best friends, Dustin, sent to me. I have another original character called Cici Chilla. He is a chef chinchilla, like a baker. And this is basically his friend, so he works as a greeter at the bakery, but he's very anxious, very shy, and has a little bit of social anxiety. I try to incorporate a lot of bright, warm spring colors because I like that contrast between a very shy, like anxious character but with all of this like positive energy around him, because I feel like a lot of times shy, quiet people are associated with like being unapproachable or having negative energy, when reality a lot of things are probably just happening inside their heads. Like they don't really show all the colorful things that they're thinking about. It's not that deep, but that was just kind of the thought process that I had behind this little duck here. And I have my water bottle, stay hydrated. I have my AirPods, very helpful. And then this here, if you're wondering, this was a lavender steam bomb. So it's a thing where you put onto your shower floor, and when water hits it, it will like release lavender and also menthol scents. But I keep it in my bedroom, and I sometimes just like drip a little bit of water in here because I really like the smell of lavender. So that's that. It looks really ugly, I know, but it smells really good. And then these are my washi tapes. I get them from either AliExpress, Etsy, or Michael's craft store. And you can probably tell that most of them are colors of my brand because, well, first of all, these are my favorite colors, but I also mostly use them for packaging purposes and a little bit in my journal. I've had a few people ask me where I got this rack from, and I actually got this way before I started using washi tapes, and this was gifted to me by one of my best friends, Kazumi, and he originally got it for me, I think because I was still doing like craft markets and stuff, so he bought it for me to display my pieces. I want to say he got it from Muji, but I'm not 100% sure. And I also don't know if Muji carries this anymore because I got this like quite a few years ago. This container here are all of my pens and boring stationery stuff. Like I have my hard drive here where I store all of my video footage. This USB adapter for my MacBook because the MacBook doesn't have USB ports. What? Anyways, this here contains my kohl erase pencils and some Conte for figure drawing. This container I got from like a store similar to Daiso, and it's supposed to be clear, but I had some leftover contact paper, so I covered it up with this like wood texture, and I did a really bad job doing it. But this is my pasta machine that I use to blend a large amount of clay colors together or to condition a large amount of clay. I have it mounted here on this desk because it's just a lot sturdier than the white one, and I don't want this moving around when I'm turning the handle, so that's why it's here. Lotion because I wash my hands so much when I'm working with clay, so they get really dry. In this corner of my room, I have my toaster convection oven. This I only use for baking polymer clay. This specific oven is by the brand Oster, and I actually picked this up brand new from somebody in my town, and they posted it on Kijiji for 20 bucks. That's a really good deal for a toaster oven. Inside my oven, I have an oven thermometer which tells me exactly what the temperature is inside. I don't know if people know this, but a lot of the times on the dial, the temperature displayed isn't actually the temperature that's inside, and that's very common with toaster ovens, so this is very important for me in case my charms burn. I have a tinfoil hood that I always put on top of my charms to keep them from burning because sometimes the heat coming up from the top is so strong that it can scorch your pieces. This white suspicious substance inside is cornstarch, which I use to rest my round charms on top of so that the bottom doesn't flatten. This paper cutter is from Michaels, and I use it to cut card backings, packaging things, anything of that sort. This random container here are just my extra paintbrushes, and then down below is my printer. This is a Samsung monotone printer, so I actually don't have a color printer, and I really want to get a color one for making art prints, but I just don't know which one to get, and I still need to do a little bit more research. And then I just have a bunch of paper supplies here. Now we move on to the more exciting section of my workspace, which probably most of you are more interested in, but I just wanted to take a moment to shout out some of the artists that are on my wall. This beautiful watercolor print here is by Marudi Bideman. I hope that's how you pronounce her name, but she's an incredible illustrator from Toronto. Her pieces are just so beautiful and so interesting to look at. There's so much going on and I love it. And I love how this one is like kind of creepy. It gives me a little bit of like Studio Ghibli yokai vibes. I have another print of hers on the right side, and I just love the way that she illustrates water. This is by an artist that I met on Instagram. Her name's Maria, and I'll put her handle up, but I just love this when I saw it right away because it reminded me of a painting that I did in high school. So it reminded me of my high school art days in a way, and I just love how heartwarming it is. It starts off with her being a little bit lonely and sad, but there's always people around you to keep you safe and happy. This print that I have framed here is by Alyssa. I'll also put her handle up. Sorry for my reflection there, but I love this print specifically because I feel like she is who I want to be. Like, she seems so happy making art, and she's just chilling. These aren't really art prints, but I just have my best friends here in a photo together for my birthday, and this is a birthday card that my friend Dustin got me, and I love it so much because it's actually a wooden card. It's one of my favorite birthday cards ever. Back on the right side here, I have a photo of me and my girlfriends. We actually have a dance group here on YouTube. I don't know if I'll link it because I'm a little shy, but this was us doing a performance of SNSD Genie. I think this was in 2018, I want to say. So we were doing like a throwback performance, and I love this photo because this is me at the front. And we were trying to go by height. So I'm one of the taller members, and then we have a really petite and adorable member in the third row. So then we have like my friend Raquel here is just ducking behind her, and so is Carrie. It's just, this is a funny photo. And then this here is again a card that my friend Dustin sent to me, and it's so cute. I love it. This is a ticket that I saved from my trip to Japan when my aunt, my mom, and I went to go visit one of the shrines. I love saving up little like pieces of my trip. And then this here is another smaller print by Maria. On my white desk, I have first this phone holder that I use to film my videos. This is by the brand Ugreen, and I got it from Amazon. I like it because it's very sturdy, and the phone holder can go like in front of you, or it can go on top to film an overhead. I also really like that it's adjustable, so this part actually like stretches up pretty high, and it can hold both my iPhone XR and it can hold my iPad 10.5 inch as well. I think it can probably stretch to a bigger iPad, I'm not too sure. What I do when I film my videos is I would drag it out in front of me, and then I would work around it like this. So at first it was pretty challenging and I had to take some time to get used to it, but now I'm pretty comfortable with it. It still takes me longer to make something if I have to film it in the process. Since my last video, I did get a new plant. This is a golden pothos, and I just wanted something that would hang on my window nicely when it starts growing. I hesitated getting a pothos because I know that they're poisonous towards dogs, so I have to be really careful about it, but my dog never climbs up anywhere high, so I think if I just hang it on the window, it would be just fine. I have two ceramic bathroom tiles here that I use as both a working and baking surface, my 72 watt UV curing lamp, a ring light that I used heavily when I was filming for my beginner polymer clay course, but now I just use it as a desk lamp. This is a little container that I got from Muji where I keep my cotton swabs and my toothpicks for cleaning clay. Two old yogurt jars that I cleaned out and now use to store water when I paint. This little basket here just contains some of my most used items. I also sometimes use this metal basket to hang my charms dry. So I have my alcohol for cleaning clay. This is my satin polyurethane varnish, UV resin, Sculpey Bacon Bond, my super glue. This is my paintbrush for coating UV resin. In here are my most used clay tools. The ones that I use the most are my dotting tool, which has two different sizes, and then my needle tool, my X-Acto knife blade, and this acrylic roller. I can basically make anything with just these four tools. Then next to this, I have my Maruko ceramic holder that I made, which I adore to this day. And I just keep a lot of loose items in it, like little knickknacks. So I have my eye pins for clay, some jump rings, some earrings, my blush that I use on almost all of my charms. I just recently got these circle cutters for making my phone grips because up until this point I've been cutting all of my larger circles manually, so I think this will just really help streamline my process a little bit more and speed things up a little bit. These blue cutters here I got from Michael's craft store. Other than the star one though, I don't actually use the other ones for shaping purposes. I usually use them for sizing. So for example, I'll roll out a sheet of clay of even thickness and then I'll take the circle cutter to cut out two circles, and that way I know they're the exact same size or like pretty close. Then I just have some paper clips in here which I hang on this container to dry or cure my charms, and I have a small piece of sandpaper for sanding little details, and also this razor blade was inside as well. Oh, and a piece of scrap clay for cleaning your hands and cleaning the surface of your table before you start. And then of course I have this lint roller here for picking up large amounts of dust. Moving on to my crafting cart here, which I'm pretty sure every artist has one of these. Mine is from Michaels, and on the top here I bought one of their tabletop lids so that I can store a little bit more stuff on top of it. And I have this cornstarch here, which was the suspicious substance that you saw inside my oven. And then I have my acetone, some extra bottles of UV resin, more hand/body lotion, my extra battery packs for my camera. The lid is of course removable, so when I lift it up there are more supplies underneath. So on this top layer I have most of my extra supplies. I have some blank phone grips, some pins, keychains, some resin supplies that I don't use a whole lot, earrings, glitters, jewels, crystals, more key rings, some toothpicks, extra stock of polymer clay here. Again, I use mostly Fimo and Sculpey Primo. Here I have my business cards, my branding stickers, some card backings, thank you cards, and thank you notes. The second layer is messily organized. I have my jewelry pliers here that are hanging on like just by a thread. The chalk pastels that I use for clay. These are my Tombow brush pens and Prismacolor pencils that I use for drawing. This is a mug that I painted while on a lab outing with my old colleagues. This was really fun and brings back a lot of good memories. I don't use this as an actual mug because they actually had a mishap when they were glazing it. It wasn't glazed properly by the people there, so I can't actually use it for eating or drinking, but I decided to use it for storage instead. In between right here, I have some random glitters that I use for both resin and clay art. These are some random tools that I've gotten in the past that I don't really use anymore. I used to use these punching tools for my card backings, but now I just kind of use a needle to poke a hole through things. This is a tool that I got a while ago. It's supposed to like push out uniformly sized like strings of clay, kind of like spaghetti. But I've never even tried using this because I didn't want to think about cleaning it afterwards. This is probably my most used hole puncher for punching card backings. There are some ribbons and jewelry wires here. A lot of dirty painting palettes at the back there. And then in the back here, I have some ribbons and some chains for making necklaces and bag charms. The bottom layer is what I call my box layer. It's where I store a lot of my boxed items, if you can't tell. I have my parchment paper and aluminum foil underneath, which I use to bake my charms on. Then I have this painting tape, which I use for my illustrations. I have two different palettes of Posca paint pens. This acrylic gouache, which I'm very much enjoying. I love this. My Hello Kitty pencil sharpener, which I've had, I think, ever since I was 7 or 8. So this is probably the oldest item in my entire room. Some extra cotton swabs, which I'll use to fill up my container on my desk. This is my old nail lamp and this bead hanging thing that I don't use. The box for my pasta machine. This is the box that I use to store most of the charms that I've made. And that wraps up my crafting cart. Underneath my desk here is my toolbox, which I used to hold my most used clay supplies, like actual clay, and also my acrylic paints. This is a sticker that my friend Edwin on Instagram gave to me. The top layer is where I store a lot of my jewelry findings, so other than the ones in my craft cart, I also have more here. I have these gold jump rings and silver jump rings in a variety of sizes. And I also have more individual packets of jump rings in rose gold and classic gold. And then when you open the latch, the toolbox opens this way and you have all of my clay. It's a huge mess here at the moment, but this is the reality. I try to organize all of my clay by colors, so maybe you can kind of tell that the darker colors are on this side and then the brighter colors are on this side. As you can tell, I'm not super organized when it comes to storing my clay. Fimo clay is great because it comes with this little barcode sticky that you're meant to peel off to use as a piece of tape to close the package so that no dust gets on it. But with the Primo ones, I just kind of scrunch it all together and hope for the best. When you're working with clay, you're always going to have some leftover colors that you don't want to put back into the original packaging. So in those cases, I use these little Ziploc baggies and I store all of the similar colors together in one bag. Sometimes there is color contamination, but because they are similar in colors, it's not hard to just take it out of the package. You have to condition the clay anyways, so while you're conditioning, that little bit of contamination is just going to get mixed in with the clay. Underneath the layer of polymer clay, I have this little small box here where I store even more jewelry and metal findings. And then I have all of my acrylic paints here. I also have like some leftover large blocks of polymer clay that I don't really use anymore, but I just don't know where else to put them. I have some Craft Smart acrylic paint on this side, some Martha Stewart shiny glittery paint. But I mostly use these paints for my polymer clay charms. They are the Liquitex Basics. I like them much more because they come out super opaque onto the charm, so I don't need to keep repainting multiple layers. If you're just starting out, I suggest you just getting the primary colors as well as white and black, which is what I have here. To this day, I still only need these colors. So I have the blue, yellow, red, black and white. I also have these two, which are Artist Loft. I think Artist Loft is Michael's in-house brand. I only got these because these were out of stock at the store when I went to check, but I really didn't enjoy these. These took at least like 10 layers for them to appear opaque, so I don't really recommend this for clay purposes. So that is all for my clay toolbox. The last thing I wanted to show you that's part of my workspace is just this little storage box here where I keep most of my shipping and packaging supplies. I don't think I'm gonna go over this too much because it's pretty like boring things, but I'll show you what's inside briefly. So I have my shipping labels, and I have some tissue paper which I've cut up, some leftover bubble wrap. I'm thinking of just taking out the bubble wrap out of my packaging process in general, but I think I'll just use this for like more fragile items like figurines and stuff. I have some of my sticker stocks. These are more business cards that I got printed by Vistaprint. Some envelopes for shipping stickers. The only shipping supply that I don't keep inside this box are my shipping boxes, so I keep those actually outside of my room because they're just too bulky. But that pretty much wraps up my workspace tour. I really hope you guys enjoyed this workspace / supplies tour. If you have any questions about where I got any of the items from, please feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll try my best to answer them as soon as possible. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!